It's Matt Wyatt with all the good stuff you need to know.
Right here on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide
At the Zone1059.com.
Yo! And away we go. Live with you on a Wednesday. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents all across the great state of Mississippi. I'm Matt. Beaver's here. He's driving this bus. He's going to get us home safely in a couple of hours from right now. He's going to pull it into the driveway. Now, we still have 2 hours in front of us. Plenty of time to get into whatever on this Wednesday. You can text. You can call. The live stream is up and kicking because I am back in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Studio A for the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Back with you. So that means that we have sound effects. You know, those little wing dings and bits and bobs that Beaver loves. Hey, Beav!
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
How you is?
Man, I've got, well, right now, I don't know how to describe what I'm thinking about this because I'm looking back because you just texted me a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. So when I open up the text screen, I see a text you sent me last Friday at 5:46 in the PM.
Okay.
It's from a gas station. It's a Slim Jim setup.
Yes.
But the Slim Jims are all sitting inside a big Macho Man display. Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes.
But here's why I'm bringing this up, because I'm looking at this and it's got a price tag on it of $5.99.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean they were selling the Macho Man thing? Because certainly Slim Jims aren't $5.99.
You wouldn't think, would you? You wouldn't think. And that was at a gas station in Tupelo. I was, getting something for Mary Liddy. She was, I think I was getting her water and a snack and taking it up to her. And right there at the checkout was that Slim Jim display. And it's like the Macho Man Randy Savage. It's kind of like a figurine, like you used to buy. When you were a kid, you'd get the wrestling toys. They were kind of made of, this really, elastic rubber man, and you could wrestle them, Beaver, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it looks like, almost. But it's a display where then he's sitting there with his shades on and everything, and there's all these Slim Jims stacked in there. And you're right. There's no way that either of those things were $5.99. I think that somebody pulled a price tag off of something and stuck it on there.
Okay, because the real reason I was bringing this up is the fact that if this thing was indeed for sale, then shame on you for not buying this.
Right, absolutely. If I had stood there and realized that they were selling that thing for $5.99, I'd have bought it. And I saw another one somewhere else. So this is the point. This is the first time I realized it is at the counter at that particular gas station in Tupelo. And that's a long way from folks in the metro, but who knows? There may be people listening that are familiar. But it's at the intersection of West Main and Coley Road, which is right there where people turn to, off of Main Street to go out to the high school and stuff. It's out by the airport in Tupelo. And so it's that one right there. And I saw that. And then in some other gas station since then, I've seen another one. Beav, don't quote me on this, but it might have been the big, really nice, it sells the great chicken gas station just like a mile from where you're sitting right now. You know what I'm talking about? Just north of you.
Yeah.
I think maybe they have one in there. So here's the deal. The Macho Man Randy Savage Slim Jim thing is alive and well. That's the point. I'm glad you're just now seeing that. A week, going on a week later.
Yeah, I know. Where was I? Let's see, Friday, 5:46.
Yeah. There's no telling. Because I think we were out Friday. I think, but I don't know. So, with that said, go out today and snap into a Slim Jim. And that's free. That's on me. Okay, Slim Jim people, that's on me. That's a free one. Free plug. And it's because, tip of the cap, the late, great Randy Macho Man Savage. Beaver, you were asking, where were you on Friday? Here's another one for you. And I always save these to the end of the show, but I'm not saving this one, okay, because it's pretty significant. Today is May the 15th. As we start the show today, we're going to set the tone. I'm coming to your texts and getting them. Your texts, your comments on the live stream. If you're on YouTube, X, Facebook, what's up? Drop a comment right there. Coming to all that. We've got headlines coming up. Obviously, baseball to get into. But here we are on May the 15th. Beaver, where were you on May the 15th, 1997? Think about it.
May 15th, 97.
Yeah.
I was in. Let's see. I just wrapped up a freshman year of high school.
Okay, you were wrapping up your freshman year of high school. Well, this is really going to hit home with you because it was on that day, May the 15th, 1997, when this very notable television episode aired. It's called The Summer of George.
The Yankees are giving me 3 months full pay for doing nothing.
Yeah, I did it for 3 years. What's another few months?
I'm really going to do something with these 3 months.
Like what?
I'm going to read a book from beginning to end in that order.
I've always wanted to do that.
I'm going to play golf.
You mean golf?
Golf! Frisbee golf, Jerry! Golf with a frisbee! This is going to be my time. Time to taste the fruits and let the juices drip down my chin. I proclaim this the Summer of George!
Beav, The Summer of George episode aired on this day for the first time back in 1997. There was so much in that particular episode of Seinfeld. The swimming pool scene, that whole deal for George at the end, slipping down the stairs, Yeah. He got caught on live television at a Yankees game. I think it was ice cream he had all over his mouth. Chocolate ice cream all over him. Made a fool of himself. Kramer saw it live on TV, got to laughing at him. Yep. So today, welcome to today, y'all. Today, May the 15th, 1997, but May the 15th, 2024. Today is our Summer of George episode of the show. So get your text in here, your text on the country pleasing text line. The number to text is, listen up, pay attention. That's what people used to say to me as a kid. Listen, stop talking. 885-3776. That's the number to text. It is a 601 number, 885-3776. Another way to remember that, if you want to text the show, is 885-ESPN. Got it? Good deal. Now, you can call me. The phone line wide open to you on the Divinity Equipment phone line. Divinity Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. Number to call, 897-1059. Repeat after me, 897-1059. There you go. Remember to help somebody remember it. Put a beat to it. And, of course, if you're on the live stream, you can comment there. So, hey, Sven and Danny and Thomas and the folks who've already commented. Over on the text line, Spanky and Jason, Denzel, Nick, PT, and I'm coming to y'all. But first, right out of the chutes, top of the hour, we have headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Went McGee, the Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Headline.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Don't forget, Bank of England and Went and the folks and some others are having that big crawfish boil 4:30 to 7:30 tomorrow at the Railroad District in Ridgeland. Y'all head out there and see them. Get to know them, meet them, take a selfie, eat some crawfish. If there's some left, depending on what time you get there. All right, headlines. So first up, baseball. Yeah, State got a win last night in that game that much discussed and previewed game. Midweek game with North Alabama, all 280 points in the RPI, UNA going into last night. And it was not easy. And frankly, Mississippi State didn't play all that particularly well. I mean, I didn't think in the ballgame, but they did get an 8-4 win, which, winning it, that's the point. Who cares how it looks when it's all said and done? That's the point, is to get the win. State used 4 pitchers in the ballgame, and the big news there was the 2-inning start from Nate Dome. 22 pitches, 15 of those strikes. He faced 6 batters, struck out 2, got a couple of pop-ups and a couple of ground outs, gave up no runs on no hits, did not walk anybody in 2 innings facing those 6 batters. And so Dome back on the mound, and now facing North Alabama, not quite like facing Alabama, but still, the point being, right? The point still remains that it was a game that they had to win to keep some hosting thoughts alive. They were able to do that. And obviously the big story was at the plate, the 9-hole hitter, Joe Powell, a catcher transfer who he's kind of your backup catcher. He had 1 home run, his first career home run in the Sunday game against Arkansas in the loss. And last night he went 4 for 4 with 3 home runs and 6 ribbies and drove his season average up to 295. And he's hit 4 home runs, and he did it in the last 3 days this season. A heck of a night for him at the plate. More on that game coming up. Now, the other game that was a bit of an eye popper and a tip of the cap to the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. They got the midweek win last night in Hattiesburg over Ole Miss, 7-4 the final. Southern Miss getting the win last night. Let's see. Southern Miss had 7 runs on 10 hits. They left 9 on base. Ole Miss 4 runs on just 5 hits. So went down to Hattiesburg, and Southern Miss used 6 different pitchers in the ball game. Nobody threw more than 3 innings. The one guy, Middleton, threw 3 innings for him. Nobody else threw more than 2. The starter was in there for an inning. Struck out 3 in that one frame, but it was kind of whole staff. And so they began to make changes right after that. But as a staff, 6 different pitchers held Ole Miss to 5 hits, the 3 earned runs, 4 runs total, 12 strikeouts for Southern Miss pitching, and just 3 walks. And they all threw strikes. That's the thing about it. And so big win. They got some timely hitting. They Southern Miss at the plate, they didn't hit any home runs, but they did have a triple and a couple doubles. So, yeah, I guess 3 extra base hits in the ball game, and of their 10 hits. Left 9 on base. Get a midweek win, 7-4 Southern Miss over Ole Miss last night. Elsewhere around midweek baseball in the SEC, Tennessee had no trouble at home, had a 10-run rule win, 10-zip over Belmont. Belmont did not have to go very far to get a whooping. And then there were 2 other SEC games that were scheduled last night that did not happen. Now, I did notice that around the country, there were quite a few top 25 college baseball teams that canceled their midweek games. Here we are, last week of the regular season. Everybody's going to have early series this weekend. And what I mean by that is, in case everybody knows that, but just in case you weren't aware, there will be no Friday, Saturday, Sunday series like in the SEC. Everything's around the league is going to be Thursday through Saturday because you turn around and start the SEC tournament early next week. So last night, Auburn playing Samford in Hoover. They were going to play it there at the Hoover Met, where the SEC tournament is going to be in a couple of weeks. That one was canceled, assuming it was weather, and there was, pop-up stuff. Even the State versus UNA game was delayed early in that one. I think they pushed the start time back like 30 minutes. And the Kentucky versus Wright State game got canceled also. Now, those 2, it's not like anybody's avoiding anything. I mean, it was weather-related. Auburn's not in anything, not in the SEC tournament, let alone the postseason. There's no RPI tampering going on there. Kentucky, I mean, they're high enough. It just doesn't matter. Are they number 2, 3 in the RPI, something like that? So it's not like it mattered to them whether they played Wright State or not from an RPI standpoint. So that's your baseball results, and that'll be your headlines for today at the top of the hour. And now, without further ado, I have to look that up, but without wasting any more time, over to the text line, the country pleasing text line. First up, Spanky said, Matt and Beaver, good to hear you guys today. And he lobbed, as the first text of the day, he lobbed a very specific request that, we don't mind it at all. Spanky wanted to get his day started off right. He's knocking out his wife's honeydew list right now as he listens to the show, and what he wanted was some Sonic Boom. And, I mean, if we're not here to give the people what they want, then what are we here for? Come on. Roll your windows down, turn it up to 11, and turn off you. Hey! Come on! Sven likes it. He's over in Germany. Big finish. Here we go. Whew. Man. Yep, Sven likes it. He always likes the Sonic Boom. Good to hear from Sven. He's on the YouTube live stream. Gave us a comment there. Thumbs up. Appreciate it, Spanky. Hope it goes well today. Denzel texted the show, and he said Dome looked really good last night, Matt. He says, I believe we now have our glue guy for the bullpen that we desperately need. Listen, that's the deal. Coming out of that game last night, that's the deal. I mean, okay, I've been wrong before, right? Specifically about this, because I'm not calling Coach Lemonis or Coach Gotro and trying to get inside scoop throughout the year. I'm just watching from a distance, just like y'all are. And I, you've heard me here when it happened. I don't have any experience in that I remember in my life of seeing a Friday nighter 1 or 2 weekends into the SEC season leave his start, shaking his arms, hands numb, whatever that was, and is out. I'm talking about that kind of deal, which you've seen, and it pretty much 99% of the time is what? Yes, Tommy John. Well, he leaves, doesn't come back for like ever. We're told he's thrown in the bullpen. Then he does try to come back. He throws like 10 pitches, and they take him out. I'm going, okay, I just from a distance, we know what this looks like. And I said it, I'd be happy for State to be wrong about this. But what it looked like to me was one of those, like, you're not going to see him again. Not only did you see him, but he looked really good. I am surprised. And at this point, Denzel, what you said is the deal. You don't go the whole year with what he's gone through and then just walk back out there and take up a starting role, like a weekend starting role, like snap your fingers. And with what State just got, I felt like State got 3 good starts on the mound, out of their rotation when they shuffled Pico Khan back in there as the third guy on Sunday against Arkansas. I thought he was really good. Pleasant surprise. Put Auger back in the pen. He was a big part of winning that game, obviously, in game 2 against Arkansas. And, they initially had him in the pen, and it just seemed like that was sort of the evaluation of him, or maybe he's a little more comfortable in that role. Khan's a little more comfortable starting. Maybe he's ready to go. Now you get Dome back, and he can be, somebody that you can leverage in a certain situation late in the game. And here, the good news, too, is the timing of it. He throws the 2 innings last night against UNA. And now you're going to have a weekend where you host 3 games against Missouri, a team that you can sort of be, you feel like if you are who you are, you can kind of pick and choose a situation to run him back out there again this weekend. I just think it's incredibly fortunate. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee they're going to go win postseason games. I'm just saying the timing of all of it is incredibly fortunate for Mississippi State baseball and for Nate Dome and everything. Good to see him back out there. Now, Nick said, I think we found our catcher last night, old Joey 3 bombs. Yeah. Joe Powell. Now help me out. I'm not trying to be argumentative at all. Okay. Some have debated that, going, well, okay, well, he's obviously your catcher now, right? And he has been hot at the plate over the last 3 to 4 days. Sunday against Arkansas, he had to bomb. I don't know if he had another hit Sunday or not. I can't remember. And then 3 home runs in that game. So he's swinging it really confidently, and it's great. But absolutely, that position, the position of catcher, is, I mean, wouldn't we say that it's primarily a defensive position? I mean, it's receiving and working with pitchers, and that's the huge part of the job. Yeah, you want to hit the ball. It's a huge part of it too, but the huge part of the job of being a starting catcher is handling pitchers and making them better, and being the kind of backstop where if there's a runner at third base in a crucial situation, your pitcher still feels confident in burying that breaking ball if he needs to bounce it to get a swing and miss, and he's not worried about you letting it skip to the backstop because you're that good of a defensive catcher. So in terms of who starts at the catcher position, maybe I'm naive, but the defensive part of it to me is more important than the offensive part of it. And now, if it changes things for a guy like Amani Larry, where look, we got to let Powell get some ABs, he's going to DH. Well, then maybe so. I don't know. It's worth discussing. All right, just getting started. Y'all stick around.
Hi.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything.
Live and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. Sven said on YouTube that Khan was outstanding Sunday against the Razorbacks. He left, and then the drama started. You're right. Well, he had their number. Really good control. The velocity seemed up. I mean, it's great. Yeah, but did blow a 6-0 lead. Yeah, that's still tough, isn't it? Still tough to look back on that. Hey, Danny, he commented on YouTube, said, Hail State from Ringgold, Georgia. Today marks his wife Linda's last day of teaching elementary school and her beginning of retirement. 41 years in the classroom. That is outstanding. Another group of people that are the most underpaid and underrated and underappreciated versus what they deserve as teachers. So, Linda, tip of the cap to you. Thank you so much for all those years in the classroom, and really hope that retirement is good to you. And to Danny, too. Danny, she got a lot of things she wants you to do. I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? Okay, over to the text line, the country pleasing text line. Nick said, no, you're right. Talking about defense catcher. He says, but the other guy's defense or arm isn't so far above Powell's to justify leaving that bat on the bench. Well, yeah, so I was looking at this, and I don't know if I pulled up the right stats or not at hailstate.com because it's something I hadn't seen before. But so it looks like, so this year, Johnny Long has started 31 games for State. And in those 31, State is 21-10. Joe Powell has started 19 games. And in those 19 games, State is 12-7. So, what is that? I cannot do that in my head, okay? Just stop. Don't expect that out of me. You got to lower your expectations when it comes to the math stuff. So I'm going to see what the winning percentage is for each. So it looks like that would be, a 4.76 or a 48% winning percentage? That ain't right. Have I done it wrong? Yeah, I did it wrong. Hang on. Hold on. Yeah. So Powell, 12 and so 7 losses in 19 games that he started, 10 losses in the 31 games that Long has started. So State's had a better winning percentage, obviously with Long as a starter. In terms of throwing people out, can y'all find, where do you find those stats on the website? Game by game stat. Anyway, I'll try to look that up. All right, here we go. All right, Long. So he started 31 games and has not committed an error. Am I looking at that right? 8 pass balls in 31 games. Powell, 1 pass ball in 19 games, sorry. 1 in 19. How about, so that's pretty decent. He does have an error. Powell has committed, is credited with 1 error. Long, no errors. So he's sitting there at a cool 1,000 fielding percentage behind the plate. But you're right, Powell's at 995. So you're right. There's not just a tremendous difference when you consider all those things. And if we look at the hitting, so this year for Johnny Long, he's batting .224 in 98 at-bats. .224 for Johnny Long. Powell out to .295 in 61 at-bats. So he's had quite a few. So at the plate, Long has played a bunch more games. 98 at-bats for Long, 61 at-bats for Powell. Long scored 21 runs. Powell now is 14. You look at hits, it's 22 for Long, 18 for Powell. The batting average obviously reflects that. And then when you look at power, so no doubles for Johnny Long. You've got 2 doubles for Joe Powell. 1 home run on the year for Johnny Long, now 4 for Powell. But it's hard for me. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't earn it. He did. He hit 3. It's just you hit 3 in 1 game. It's, it skews it a little bit, Right, it does. It skews it just a little bit. But the other thing, too, is you look at driving runs in. And, more than 30 fewer plate appearances. Long's got 12 ribbies, and Powell's now got 15. Big difference there. Big difference in total bases. 32 total bases for Powell in just 61 at-bats. You get 25 total bases in 98 at-bats. So offensively, they're different players. There's just no – there's just offensively, there's not a lot of comparison. And the thing about it is, too, it's like the sample size deal, right? Now 61 at-bats is a pretty decent sample size over the course of the year. It averages – out to, you're getting regular plate appearances. You're just not a starter at 61 at bats, obviously. But after the little power surge that he's had here the last couple of days, and the last 2 games, that's quite a difference. And that's the other thing. 98 at bats, but you got 23 walks for Johnny Long. 9 walks and 61 at-bats for Powell. So they're just different players, aren't they? It's like Long knows he's a defensive catcher. He's going to go up there and be selective and try to make him throw strikes and put it in play. And Powell's somebody who can really swing the bat. Strikeouts in those 98 at-bats, 19 strikeouts for Johnny Long. 12 strikeouts for Powell this year in 61, so he strikes out a little more frequently. But like I said, they're just different type of players, aren't they? And obviously, the slugging, there's a huge difference in the slugging. So if you're a numbers guy, all of that, I don't know. The thing about it is, though, you also get to this point in the year, and it's like, do you really want to make any major changes? You're sitting there, you're top 5 in the SEC, top 4. You're in the hosting conversation. It has been a heck of a turnaround for you. Do you really want to have major shakeups this time of year is the other part of it. JS290 kind of touches on it. He's on YouTube, and he goes, talking catchers at this time of year, and then he put all caps fire Lamonas. Yeah, I'm picking up your sarcasm. Now let's see here. Don commented on Facebook on the live stream, and he said, Matt, I agree with you about the catcher being a more defensive position, but I think Powell has a better rate at throwing out runners and fewer pass balls, which is true there. Haven't seen the stats. I think he's throwing out 6 runners this year in stolen base attempts, I believe. So leave it up to the coaches. It's just nice to have options, right? Nick heard all that, and he texts back on the Country Pleasing text line, and he goes, the defense rests. Thank you, Your Honor. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona, texts the show. He said, man, you just made me homesick. Talking about Main Street and Coley Road in Tupelo. He said, I used to live over there in the summer when my uncle had his shop over there, fishing in the duck pond and such. Yeah, at Ballard Park. Is that where it was? Which is right there also, Jason. He went on to say, he said, I think I remember Powell's error, and if so, it was a ridiculously wild pitch in that third Georgia game. Almost certain I remember Jim talking about it was about how it was scored for what it's worth. Yeah, the pass ball versus well, no, it wouldn't be pass ball. I guess I'd have to see it. I'd go back and see what it was. So many things, even on hits and infield hits versus errors and stuff, you're kind of at the mercy of the scorekeeper, aren't you? I mean, it seems like generally they will sort of lean towards the home team on that stuff. Kenny, don't call me Ken. He texted the show and said he's back on the levee, adding the green there in the paint job on the levee. Where was it again? In Greenville? Yep, Lake Ferguson. That really looks good. And, you know, are you getting a break, a little bit of a break on the heat there in the Delta and on the river? I guess it's May the 15th. It could be a whole lot hotter than it is. We're kind of getting a break on the temps right now. I know we are in North Mississippi. PT for MSU. I love it. I love the George reference. The summer of George. The summer of George. And there's Bernie, what was his name? Played for the Yankees, and Derek Jeter. We won the World Series, and George says, yeah, in 6 games. That's great. The summer of George. All right. It's our Summer of George version of the show because it's May the 15th. We're all here. You're here, so we have a show. Texts, calls, comments, all coming up. Stick around.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of 𝐌𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢 and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing, it's a fun thing, it's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing, it's a wing wing. A brand new transgram fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite star thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers.
It's often difficult to satisfy that special hunger.
Not here, because you've got Matt Wyatt.
Oh, I am starving.
Don't worry, he's got a menu full.
On the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
At the Zone 105.9.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team, they are your home team. I'm here, Beaver's here, and HQ is here. She hates the applause. She hates it. Hey, Annie.
Hey. Hey, Beaver.
Hey, Annabeth.
How are you?
Y'all two talk it out.
Yeah.
I got to go take a phone call. I'll be right back.
I know. Beaver, he really does have to take this phone call.
Oh, okay.
So it's just you and it's just me.
Well, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Have you had any little Debbies today?
No, not today.
And I'm really sorry when Matt came to Jackson earlier this week that I did not send any down for you. That was my bad.
No. You've sent more than enough.
No.
At this point.
No, I need to send
at this point, it's on Matt now.
It should be on Matt, but you and I both know Matt can't remember to do things like that. And honestly, right now, like most moms and a lot of dads who have kids, my brain is on the what we call Maycember. Instead of December, it's Maycember because it's so busy with end of the year things that my brain just forgot to say, get them some little Debbies. My brain is end of the year. Mary Lydia, I know that people who are listening, grandparents, aunts, uncles, moms, and dads, the end of the year's got so much. You've got the end of the year dance recitals, tryouts for next year for sports, and it's just so much that my brain's on overload.
It's understandable.
Honestly.
Well, my question for you is,
yeah,
did Matt share with you what I sent him home with yesterday? Roles were reversed.
Wait a minute. He did not, but I did find a small pack of Nutter Butters. Was that from you?
No.
Well, he must have stopped and got some on the drive back to Tupelo.
I sent home.
Yes.
A package of grass-fed beef Polish sausages.
No, he did not. He's probably put that in the freezer or in the refrigerator without telling me. That was really nice, Beaver. That was a healthy thing to do.
Well, you know what the more likely scenario here is, though, if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, no.
Because there were 4 in the package. And I don't think Matt is above eating them in the car on the way there.
I'm just telling you that I know Matt really well, and if he had that, he probably ate, and then he got Nutter Butters because he's really, really being bad if he stops to get Nutter Butters and he needs peanut butter. and protein to keep himself awake. So that's probably what happened. But no, thank you for that treat, Beaver. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea.
Make sure you get one. I don't know if now, you know what might have happened too, and I told him this before he left because
he's
he was going
coming back on. He's going to hear you. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. So
and
when
I'm
I
back.
told him, okay, so we were talking about the Polish sausages, Matt. What happened to the Polish sausages?
Did you eat
Annabeth
them?
said she hadn't seen them.
Can I tell you the truth?
You ate
You
them?
left them. You left them at the wildlife place. didn't you?
Nope, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I was about to, but I remembered I stuck them in the fridge to keep them good, and I
good.
I put them in the car and I drove to Tupelo. And when I got home last night, I got out.
Still in the car.
I left them in the car.
Well, you should.
I had a bag of snacks in the front seat of my car.
You could have at least
Lied about it. I could have lied about
to make
Beaver
feel better.
But honestly, you know, when I thought about it, this morning.
Well, that was too late, Matt.
I get up. I'm gonna have breakfast.
Beaver will never gift you anything again.
Well, I know, but
and you don't deserve it.
Well, he deserves my honesty.
You don't deserve his gifts.
And I went to the fridge. I was going to get some country pleasing sausage. I got original flavor, original smoked sausage. And I open it, I look at it, and that's when I was reminded.
Oh, no.
And I went, oh, no. And I was this close to just getting it and putting it in the fridge, thinking, it's been sitting in the car. It's just, it was like, the car was like lukewarm all night.
Oh.
And so, Beav, I'm afraid I wasted them.
Beaver's not talking to you. He's really mad.
Well,
Your
you're
car
making it worse.
Stinks right now.
I'm not making it worse.
I'm
I'm just on Beaver's team on this. Sorry, I'm not on your side on this, Matt. Come on.
Well, look, I'm not saying I was right. I was wrong. I just smooth forgot it when I got home last night. I was tired. Okay, I was ready to get in and see you and
Beaver, thank you
eat
for
supper.
for your thoughtfulness.
Beav, I'm really sorry about that.
That's bad.
Sure did.
Hey. I didn't miss out on delicious grass-fed beef Polish sausages. You did. You only hurt yourself.
Well, but it's been wasted, and
Well, it's okay. It's okay. Beaver will forgive you, but he will think twice before he gives you anything else again.
Yeah, well,
now I'll send him an extra box of Little Debbie's next week to make up for it.
well,
Beaver,
look, Beaver
what are your
won't-
top 3 again?
That's so hard. Let's see. Number 1, zebra cakes. Number
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, you like the zebra cakes.
I guess number 2 are OCPs.
Yes.
You down with OCP?
You know me. Number 3, I think. God, I feel like we've talked about this before.
I know. I remember
every
the zebra
week
cakes, but I forgot the
every
others.
week because they all sound so good. So my favorite changes.
They are good. There's just really
Let's
no
go with
way
the
to
honey bun.
honey
at
bun.
3.
Mary Liddy Wyatt loves the honey buns.
Uh-huh.
We very rarely get them because she will eat all of them, and I'm like, Mary Liddy, you need to slow down. But okay, got it. Note. I've taken note here. Matt will make up for the
Beav,
forgotten gift.
the other day, Annabeth came home with a new box of Star Crunch. And yesterday on my trip to and from Jackson, I ate 3 of them.
Just so
True story.
Just so everyone knows, while you were taking that call, we were talking about you, and I told Beaver I found a package of Nutter Butters.
Oh, yeah, the cookies.
The cookies. So I knew you had stopped at a gas station in Jackson or somewhere and gotten some and needed some sugar and some protein
Okay,
to stay awake.
no.
So now you're admitting to eating those plus 3 Star Crunch. And
On the way home.
on the
But
way
let me
home,
tell you,
Jackson
Annabeth.
to Tupelo is a long trip. So
Now, on the way home, though, he could have eaten one of the Polish sausages, and
Well,
that is 12 quality grams of protein in every sausage.
That's what he told
in
me
that pack.
yesterday.
instead, he really wanted to get a few more grams of sugar.
I'm not big on eating cold weenies.
Oh,
I'm just
gosh.
being honest with you.
And we
Not cold ones.
We digress. We digress. What's the top? What is y'all's topic of discussion
No,
today?
it's been baseball. But listen, let me tell you this.
Okay.
I didn't buy those cookies because I needed some sort of pick me up or whatever.
Oh, I just thought
I
you did.
bought them a little bit out of guilt. Here's what I mean by that.
Guilt.
There's this one particular gas
That
station
you like to stop in.
that I stop especially on my way to Jackson, that I always stop. It's in the middle of nowhere, all by itself. It's not in a town.
They're really sweet there.
It's the cleanest bathroom, the nicest place.
I don't even know the name of it.
It's my fill-up spot. So I pull in there, I use their gas pump, getting gas, and then I go in, okay, and I use the bathroom. Every time I go there,
and you wanted
it's my bathroom
You wanted
stop.
to buy a little snack to say thank you.
There's nobody else in the store.
It's
There's
obvious.
this same woman or guy, I must be, maybe it's family owned, I don't know, but there's one of the two that are always working the register, and I walk in and they're like, "Hey, good morning." I'm like, "Hey," and they see me go straight to their bathroom,
Yeah, you needed to buy something.
and then I come out and they're like,
well, that brings up a good etiquette situation for
I
gas
feel
stations.
like I need to buy something.
Gas station etiquette rules. Maybe it's different here in the South versus up north, but I kind of feel like you ought to buy maybe a little something.
A little something.
And here in Mississippi, where everybody's being kind and you need to stop by and you need to use the restroom, you need to buy some chips or some cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
probably had coffee in your Stanley mug over there, and the cookies went well with it.
Right. That was my thought. Is I'll eat these later, which I did. I didn't eat them.
Yeah,
in the
you'd
morning.
only eat like half of them.
And I saved and today at lunch
That
was a
was
special treat because I had those leftover Nutter Butter cookies, and I thought there were only 2.
Yeah.
3.
Oh, nice. Don't you love that?
Ah, yes. It's like finding an extra $20 bill in your pocket.
Extra dollar. Well, I think it's nice of you to buy that. When you figure out the name of that gas station, you'll have to tell folks because I don't know what it is, but they really are. My grandfather, Beaver, when we would make trips from Houston, Mississippi, down to Vicksburg, there's always this one spot he likes to stop in. So we've continued that tradition of stopping at this place.
As I stepped away a minute ago, how was it you and Beaver just doing the show together?
Well, we were fine.
Bill texted during that and said, "Beaver and the HQ, now we have a show."
Oh, well, we were just talking about snacks, actually, weren't we, Beaver? Little Debbie's and such.
Okay, real quick. Denzel texted and said, "Homecoming Queen, I need your pick for the Preakness." That's the upcoming horse race.
Oh, yeah. Is that this weekend or is that during the week?
I think it may be this weekend. Okay, number 1, Mugatu. Number 2, Uncle Heavy. Number 3, Catching Freedom. Number 4, Muth. Number 5, Mystic Dan. Number 6, Seize the Gray. 7, Just a Steal.
So Mystic Dan is the one who won the Derby, right?
Yes.
And wasn't supposed to.
Right. Number 8, Tuscan Gold. And number 9, Imagination.
So is everyone picking Mystic Dan
Yep.
now?
Best odds.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's just go with Mystic Dan.
Let's do it. And then you have, maybe the consideration of you have a Triple Crown winner.
I mean, maybe. Don't put any money on that. Put your heart behind Mystic Dan. Don't put your dollars behind Mystic Dan. But
there you go.
Anyway, that sweet horse was an underdog at the Derby. Maybe
He was an underhorse.
He was an underhorse.
Well, this has been a real treat. I tell you what, y'all handled it so well. I may just let y'all do a segment or two every day without me anyway.
Well, listen, man. It's not like Beaver would agree it wasn't an Emmy-winning segment, but we were good.
Well, you never know. All right.
I enjoyed it. Good to talk to you guys today.
You too. Hour 1 in the books. Stick around.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, "There goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was."
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son,
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
of love
He means the world to me.
and desire,
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
a champion
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
and his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
Do you know me? Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse. Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, Stone. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh.
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
For your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto. But not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich tomato sauce, and a better blend of spices.
Hamburger Helper. Lasagna.
Helper, Hamburger Helper.
Make a great meal, oh.
Spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
What seems to be the problem?
Doctor, thank God. My husband found out Cricket Wireless has 5G plans for $15 a month, and his jaw just dropped.
Did he hear about Cricket's blazing fast 5G?
Yep.
What about their reliable nationwide coverage?
Yes, that too.
I see. Unfortunately, there's no cure. But you will have really fast 5G.
Get jaw-droppingly fast 5G for $15 a month. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. Video may be limited to SD. Fees may apply. Terms and restrictions apply. Subject to change. See store for details.
A car is never just a car. Kelley Blue Book knows it's so much more than that. It's your commuting chariot, your road trip refuge, your I just need a reason to get out of the house. Your car is there for everything. And for everything car, there's Kelley Blue Book. Need a new set of wheels? Price it on Kelley Blue Book. Problem under the hood? Fix it with Kelley Blue Book. Can another car do the job better? Trade it or sell it on Kelley Blue Book. We're here mile after mile, moment after moment. Price it, fix it, trade it, sell it. KBB.com it. Visit KelleyBlueBook.com to get the journey started.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save, because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
At T-Mobile, you can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.
Just like that, it's hour number two. Hour number two of the show, off and running with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team. We were talking catchers, pitchers. Joe Powell hits 3 home runs last night for State. Don commented on Facebook earlier, and he said, I think it just comes down to which catcher the pitchers are more comfortable with. Long has caught Stevens and Lou, as in Jurangelo St. Just so it might not be wise to swap them up now. Yeah, that absolutely it would not be, and they're not going to. He said we can always DH Powell too. Lamonis seemed to be open to that in the postgame interview last night. Yeah, I mean, it's like somebody gets hot, and there's a lot to consider more so than some of these good swings here lately on pitches that he's gotten and driven out of the yard. I mean, you consider that, but you got to also consider all of it. Experience and other stuff too. But yeah, 100%, Don. I think you nailed it. All right. You can call, you can text, you can be a part of the show lots of different ways. You can be like Don and comment on the live stream if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or X. The Country Pleasing text line open to you. You can text the show at 885-3776. That is a 601 number. 885-3776. And a good way to remember it is 885-ESPN. So text that number out to get you in here. That's a Country Pleasing text line, Country Pleasing sausage. Made right here in Mississippi. Country Meat Packers on Highway 49 in Florence, Mississippi, and they ship it all over the place, all over the Southeast. I've gotten texts and messages from people in like Tennessee and Oklahoma, and they're like, hey, look, Country Pleasing. It's the best. That's my opinion. Maybe it's not everybody's, but it's a lot of people's as soon as they try it. Text me there, the Country Pleasing text line. All right, this is interesting. Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona says, did y'all see the story of the hunters that got visited by a couple of baby black bears because they smelled their breakfast honey buns? And then he sent me a link, so I'm going to look at it here. How recent was this, Jason? So several years ago, back 2019, but it was in the Delta, Cleveland. 2 Mississippi hunters were surprised to lay their eyes upon a black bear while deer hunting in Cleveland. They're from Marigold. They're sitting in a ladder stand. 2 deer ran off suddenly. Shortly after looking ahead of their nearby food plot, the hunters realized the black dots they were seeing in the far distance were actually bears. And one of the guys said, quote, they definitely weren't cubs, but they weren't grown. It was like something on National Geographic. He said, so after watching them for about 20 minutes, one walked past us. The second one, he was walking the same way towards us. He was probably 30 yards out from us, and he beelined it to us. This guy told the Clarion Ledger. One bear did not hesitate to physically climb the hunter's deer stand, smelling their honey bun breakfasts. Realizing the bear was getting closer and closer, Coopwood finally yelled, and the bear immediately retreated. He yelled at him. Mississippi, this is from back in 2019, says Mississippi's bear population has vastly increased in the last few years. Typically, bears are attracted by their search for food, so hunters have to pay close attention even when they're up off the ground. Jason, I appreciate you sending me that because I'm really fascinated by it. And if you remember, this goes back, 2-3 months ago, but here on the show, we talked to Anthony Ballard, who runs the Black Bear program. He's the president of the Black Bear program at MDWFP. And we had him on the radio show here. Remember you probably remember that conversation. Since then, I've talked to him again and learned all kinds of stuff about, the population. Well, I say about the population in Mississippi, but how they study them, and they do these den checks like in the spring and March and different times of year. But yeah, the black bear population in Mississippi, it has grown and it is continuing to grow. And eventually it'll grow to the point where you may be like alligators. Eventually you look up and they start having a season of some sort on it because of the population. But like primarily along the Mississippi River and in the Delta, and then southwest Mississippi and parts of southeast Mississippi. And yes, you've seen or heard of one or two spotted in northern parts of Mississippi, but they're not very common at all. And that's what they said. It's primarily food. And here's the other thing, Jason, that I learned from talking to Anthony Ballard at MDWFP. You have incidents over the years of a bear getting hit by a car. In fact, there's a big old stuffed one on display on the ground floor level at the MDWFP offices, main offices in Jackson. Big stuffed black bear, and it's one that got hit by a car. I think he said it was in Franklin County maybe. And typically those are the younger males who they roam a little farther. Once they get out and start going out on their own, they'll roam a little farther. But in other states, see, in Mississippi, they don't do, like, for example, Jason, let's say we know somebody in Vicksburg who had a black bear that showed up in her yard. And she called wildlife, and Andrew and the folks showed up, and they kind of handled the situation. But what they don't do, they almost never do, is like dart them, put them to sleep, and relocate them. And the reason is, you relocate them, well, they wake up and they go back to where they came from. And that's when they'll be crossing roads and get hit by a car. And it's really interesting how they go through the process and the whole education process. But the thing about it is, like that story about a guy in a deer stand yelling at that black bear that climbed that tree, that's generally all it takes. They're just not going to, thank goodness, they are not like grizzly bears and big Kodiak bears and stuff. They're not, you can scare them off. They're much more scared of you than you are of it. Thanks for sending that along, Jason. I'm really fascinated by that whole program here in Mississippi. It's really, really incredible. Yeah. Can you imagine? Grumpy said, Matt, did they also stuff the car? It didn't go anywhere. Well, yeah, listen. I mean, sure enough, a 380-pound black bear and you hit it with your car. I mean, what's that going to do? Everybody's getting torn up. Unfortunately, that's the way that is. For sure. All right. So text me on the Country Pleasing text line. You can call me. Phone line's open to you here on the Divini Equipment phone line. Divini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. Number to call, 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. Let's go to headlines.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Went McGee, the mortgage man. Went. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Went, the folks at Bank of England, going to have that big crawfish boil over there in the railroad district of Ridgeland, right by their offices, right by the railroad track tomorrow. Thursday afternoon, 4:30 to 7:30. Y'all go check them out. State, a winner last night, 8-4 over North Alabama. For the time being, we'll look it up, but I don't think it really knocked them back all that far in the RPI, but it did knock them back a little bit just because you play in that team. But they played it and got the win, and the real positive was seeing Nate Dome on the mound for State. Started through 2 innings, was really efficient. 22 pitches, 15 strikes, 2 strikeouts of the 6 batters he faced. So 2 strikeouts, 2 flyouts, 2 groundouts. No walks, no hits. Really efficient. 2 out. Good to see him back out there. And 3 home runs at the plate. The much discussed to this point, Joe Powell, 3 home runs and 6 RBIs in that ballgame last night. And elsewhere, last night in Hattiesburg, Southern Miss with a win over Ole Miss. Southern Miss at home last night, a 7-4 win over Ole Miss. Southern Miss had 7 runs on 10 hits. They left 9 on base. Ole Miss 4 runs on just 5 hits. I mentioned this earlier, but 6 different pitchers on the mound in that game for Southern Miss last night. Starter goes for an inning. They had 3 others that threw just 1 inning. Middleton was out there the longest, 3 innings, faced 10 batters, the longest outing of any of the 6. But they combine as a staff, those 6 pitchers, to strike out 12 Ole Miss batters. They just walked 3. Only 3 earned runs, 4 runs total on 5 hits in the ball game against Southern Miss pitching. So they got it done at home last night. Elsewhere, Tennessee 10-run ruled Belmont last night, 10-zip. And the other 2 SEC games that were supposed to be played did not happen. Auburn was supposed to play at the Hoover Met against Samford. That didn't happen. Weather got it. And then the same thing for Kentucky hosting Wright State last night. That one didn't happen either. Now, looking ahead, no midweek games tonight because this being the final weekend of the regular season and the SEC tournament coming next week, SEC teams are all playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. You're not going to have any Sunday college baseball this week. So the final regular season series that you have are Florida goes to Georgia. And I'm going to look at this too because I'm not off the top of my head familiar with where exactly Florida is in the pecking order and what their postseason stuff looks like. And I know Georgia's in. And the idea is that Georgia might host. I don't know. We'll see. But Florida is at Georgia this weekend. Again, all Thursday through Saturday. Tennessee is going to host South Carolina. Kentucky will host Vandy. State's got Missouri and Starkville. Auburn hosting Alabama. Pretty cool. Final weekend. Texas A&M hosts Arkansas. And a big one. Ole Miss at LSU. And I say big. Maybe those bottom 2 spots are already settled after this past weekend because I think Auburn, took 2 out of 3 against Missouri. So that may have wound it up for Missouri as far as trying to, get into the SEC tournament. We'll see. But at any rate, the Ole Miss LSU series there, maybe both teams are safely, into Hoover. We'll check the standings and see in just a bit. Florida at Georgia this weekend. What is their situation? Right now, Florida is next to last. They're in that Eastern Division. They are 11-16, 26-25 overall. You're talking about a Georgia team that's way up there in the RPI. They're 38-12, really good overall record. Probably the best hitter in college baseball, and Charlie Condon this year. Tons of home runs. And Georgia is 16-11 in the SEC. And they've been really good at home, too. They've got the longest, Georgia has the longest win streak going right now in the SEC. They've won 8 straight ball games. That includes midweeks, but an 8-game win streak coming into the weekend. So you would think that, you'd think Florida's going to have its work cut out for it. And, so it is not completely decided the last spot in Hoover. Now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I see it. Well, there are 2 teams that are left out of Hoover. The bottom 2 teams did not play in the SEC tournament. As I see it, for Auburn, they're hosting Alabama this weekend. Even if they sweep them, I don't think Auburn can elevate to be one of the top 12. They are 6-21, so they got too much ground to make up. They could catch Missouri, but they can't catch anybody else. So Auburn's out of it. But Missouri at 8-19 on the year is only 2 games back of LSU at 10-17. So if you were to line up the entire league and not do divisions, and we're looking at pecking order top 12 going to the SEC tournament, right now, as it stands going into this final weekend, The bottom two are Auburn and Missouri. Auburn's out of it 6-21, but then you got Missouri at 8-19. Then LSU at 10-17. So they're 12th in the league right now. And just above them, one game better than them, is both Ole Miss and Florida at 11-16. So Missouri, one spot out of Hoover, is 2 games back going into the weekend of LSU, 3 games back going into the weekend of Florida and Ole Miss. So I would guess, again, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but Missouri still has Hoover to play for going into the weekend. Keith has already looked at it, and he's on Facebook, and he said if Missouri loses more than one game, they are eliminated. That's right. But they are looking at it like going into Starkville, like if they win the series, they could potentially catch LSU if Ole Miss could go down there and beat them. Like there's these different scenarios, right? So if LSU were to drop 2, has LSU and Missouri played each other so we would have a head-to-head tiebreaker? Hold on, I'll tell you. Yeah. And LSU won the series. It was at Missouri in mid-April, so 1 month ago, LSU went to Missouri and bookended that series. They won games 1 and 3, and so LSU won the series. So even if they wound up, and this is me again assuming, but I think it's a safe assumption that the head-to-head series matters first. So let's just say, Missouri would have won 2. Put them at 10. No, they still have to sweep. Even if LSU won 1 game. Y'all confused? Yeah, he's sitting here listening to me think out loud about it. So basically, they're 2 games back going in. So to catch them, Missouri's got to win 1 more game this weekend than LSU does. And if they do that, they catch them. The problem is, LSU would have the tiebreaker. And then again, there's a crazy scenario where, let's just say, for example, let's say a crazy scenario. But if Missouri were to sweep Mississippi State and Starkville, that'd put them at 11 wins in the SEC. And if they do that, and either Ole Miss or Florida get swept, they could be in a tie with one of them. And then if Missouri goes in there and sweeps State, it's crazy. And then you're really watching that LSU deal because Missouri could potentially bump LSU out of Hoover. Now, it's a long shot, right, for all those things to line up, for sure. It's a really far-fetched thing. Missouri, swept Florida. So that's another thing. If they somehow were to sweep State and Florida gets swept and they had the same record, Missouri could get into Hoover instead of Florida. So on the bottom end of this thing, again, Ole Miss is safely in the SEC tournament, as long as they don't get swept at LSU this weekend is what it looks like to me. And that's good. From an attendance standpoint, everybody at Hoover, the 3 teams that, without question, the 3 teams that the people in Hoover that put on the SEC tournament wish for every year to please get them in this tournament are LSU, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. If you get that, here come the fans. They'll tailgate starting on Tuesday, and then you let one of those 3 teams make a little run, and it'll start filling up as the week goes on. Frankly, I'm just going to tell you, yeah, it's home territory for Alabama and Auburn baseball. Auburn's out of it this year. But either of those 2 teams, they do bring a crowd because you got them right there. But still, State, Ole Miss, and LSU bring the most people to Hoover, period. And again, part of that's proximity. And credit to the LSU fans, they could play it anywhere, and it really wouldn't matter. What about the top end of it? Okay, so going into the weekend, Kentucky has a 2-game lead over everybody. Kentucky is 20-7 in the league. I'm sorry, a 1-game lead. Kentucky is 20-7. Arkansas is 19-8. And Tennessee is 19-8. So it's Kentucky with a 1-game lead over Arkansas and Tennessee, who are right now tied for second. And like we said, Tennessee's going to host South Carolina this weekend. Arkansas is going to Texas A&M, and A&M's coming off the series loss. Really talented team. I don't know that anybody spent more in NIL to put their team together than Texas A&M did, frankly, this year. And they're sort of waning here in the latter part of the regular season. Went to Oxford and got beat last week. Go back home, and they'll host Arkansas this weekend. That's a heck of a series to keep an eye on. Kentucky is at home against Vanderbilt, and, nobody has been waning in the second half of the season really more than Vanderbilt has. So you would think Kentucky has a big advantage towards. So they're hosting Vandy, a team that's not been good lately, and they go into the weekend with a 1-game lead overall. So you would think Kentucky has a tremendous upper hand in maybe being the regular season SEC champion, but it has gone all the way to the last weekend. We still have to play this last weekend to figure all that out. All right, hour 2. Here we go. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. Stick around.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes,
And the fun continues with Night Court. Thursday.
For over half a century, dairymen have tried to capture in cans the flavor of pure, fresh milk. And now Foremost has discovered the secret with an evaporated milk that's closest by far to fresh milk itself.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? An evaporated milk that doesn't have that old-fashioned evaporated milk taste. But it's true, and you can prove it. You know how most evaporated milks taste in coffee. The flavor goes flat. But try Foremost. You'll see it's white, the way milk ought to look, not drab tan like other brands. And when you taste it, well, if you're anything like me, you'll never even know it isn't pure, fresh cream. You try it and see. That's Foremost, the closest thing in cans to pure, fresh milk. Remember, your family gets the most from Foremost.
Coca-Cola, come on, girl. Gotta share a Coke with you. Let the feeling show through. You wanna live a little bit more. That's what the taste of Coke is for. Coke is like everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola, Coke is like everybody wants.
Come on, Harry, come on. We're getting our picture taken.
Special moments. Times of your life you'll want to remember. In pictures.
Smile, Howard. Smile.
To help make those pictures look as good as they can, make sure Kodak paper is behind them. If you don't see these words, it isn't Kodak paper. Just look for this sign when you get your pictures. Kodak paper, for a good look at the times of your life.
See, wasn't that fun?
Come and get it. Come and get it.
Stop the confusion. Stop the confusion. Everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Buster wants the cornflakes. Pop wants a pep. Mama loves the raisin bran. Mama is hip. Sister loves Rice Krispies. And there's Uncle Jack. He loves Kellogg's shredded wheat. Kellogg's makes it fun to eat. Breakfast with Variety Pack. Okay, folks, there's your favorite individual box of cereal, fresh from Kellogg's Variety Pack, untouched by human hands, except your own. That don't mean you gotta eat with 'em. Each individual box comes to your FOD, fresh on delivery from Battle Creek, right to your own dish. Yeah, everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Variety Pack.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats. Wholesome shredded wheat for the adult and you. Great taste for the kid.
Amazing play. Matt Wyatt has got it all for you.
Just listen to that!
At The Zone 105.9 and coming to you worldwide at TheZone1059.com.
Yeah, look, I'm not good at keeping up with all these different scenarios that could happen for every team in the last weekend of the regular season. But, I find it interesting to look at it, and it's fun to look at it when the team you root for is in the mix. And, man, we've been out of the mix for 2 straight years coming into this year, and all of a sudden now you got a lot to pay attention to coming into the last weekend. Now, from an RPI situation standpoint, no, it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is just get into postseason, 2 or 1, host or not, and play your best there. Get to Omaha. That's the most important thing. But you want to host, right? You want to have that fun, home deal. You want to be one of those 16 host sites for regionals. It's just fun. It's just really cool, especially when you have a stadium like State does. And the RPI thing did not really work out very well for State. And I'll give you an example of that. Now, Chuck points out on YouTube going into this weekend. And again, it's right on us because everybody's going to start tomorrow night. He says MSU could pass Georgia and Texas A&M in the standings, but A&M would need to get swept. And A&M's playing Arkansas. And like you say, they've taken it on the chin, hadn't played as well here lately. Ole Miss is like Jekyll and Hyde. They're good at home and not so good anywhere else, I guess. But I guess it could happen. Sweeps on the road are rare, especially against talented teams in the SEC. Arkansas pitches it so well. They just have such a great pitching staff that anything could happen. They could have a good weekend on the mound and absolutely win 3 games at A&M. You just don't know. Keith mentioned on Facebook Georgia could move into 4th place. And that's right? And they're hosting Florida this weekend. But here's what I meant when I said, the RPI thing, right? So after last night's game against the 280th RPI team, State wins it at home, and they drop back 2 spots. They went from 15 back to 17, if I'm looking at this right. Well, so, it'd be great, wouldn't it, if your last opponent was a really high RPI team that would help you? Well, your last opponent, if you're State, is the bottom RPI team in the SEC. It's Missouri. How far down in the RPI standings is Missouri coming into the last weekend as compared to everybody else in the SEC? Missouri is 104 in the RPI, 104th in RPI coming into this weekend series. The next to last SEC team in the RPI is Auburn at 45. 60 spots higher than Missouri. Missouri is not only last in the SEC in RPI, they're the only one outside of 50, and they're 104. They're 60 spots worse than the 13th RPI team. That's how bad they are. Auburn's 45th. LSU is 34. Florida 30. By the way, Southern Miss is 29, 1 spot ahead of Florida, and 1 spot behind Vanderbilt, who's at 28. Ole Miss at 24. South Carolina 19. Mississippi State 17. Bama 11. Tennessee 6. Arkansas 4. Georgia 3. A&M 2. And Kentucky is number 1. And I think I missed Florida in here somewhere. I must have skipped over. I think I missed Florida. Where are they? I just didn't see it. Anyhow, you get the point. It'd be great if you were playing one of those high RPI teams if you're state, but it just didn't work out that way. All right, over to the phone line, the Divini Equipment phone line. Divini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer, the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S., in fact. It means Divini's been doing it better, longer than anyone else right here at home at Divini. On line one, it's Ready Teddy. What's up, Teddy?
Hey, man, hope everything's going well. Man, you probably just saw the text, man. I got a very disturbing text, man. For years ago, I signed up to be on the waiting list for the New Orleans Saints season ticket.
Okay.
We're coming up on year 3 of the Dennis Allen era, right?
Yes.
Well, I don't want the tickets anymore, and suddenly they're available.
Strange how that works, isn't it? All right, let me read this.
Apparently, nobody else wants them either. Yeah, read it on the air. That came from the Saints.
Nobody else wants them anyway. Okay, so Teddy sent me the text. He got on his phone, and it says, "This is the New Orleans Saints. In response to your Saints season ticket wait list request, please call us at," and here's a number, "to speak to a Saints representative to secure available seating options. To continue to receive Saints communications, please reply back, Saints, all caps, confirming you agree." In other words, hey, we got some seats. Call us. Well, look, here's what I would say, though, Teddy, if I'm being like a devil's advocate here. Like, isn't there an element of beggars can't be choosers? Like, if you're a Saints fan and you hadn't gotten them the last couple of years, you may say you don't want them, but you got to take them when you can get them, don't you?
I guess. But, I mean, I don't want to be that guy. I may get them, Matt.
Yeah.
And sell them at face value or a touch over just to get me a free pair of tickets for one game. I may do that. But what I'm not going to do is be one of those people to buy them and scalp them on all those sites. I'm not that kind of person, and it sucks when I buy tickets, have to overpay for tickets on those. But I understand capitalism, and I'm not going to get into all that. But I'm not going to be that kind of person. I'm not going to do it as a business venture, but I may do it just to have some ready available tickets. But
hey, and the schedules came out as far as home opponents, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. So I guess that was
that probably. The good thing is that if you do have season tickets, you don't automatically get playoff season tickets. I mean, tickets to the playoffs. But I think you get first right of refusal on your seats if you choose to buy. I think that's how it works. I'm not positive.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I called Olivier after I got that text. He said, "Yeah, I got the same text."
He's in the same boat as you. That's great.
And neither one of us like Dennis Allen, so neither one of us are going.
Well, and look, man, I'll tell you this. With Olivier, you can't even say he doesn't like him. He almost takes it a little too far, like hates the guy. You know what I mean? Like just downright wouldn't, you know what, if he was on fire. I hate to say it, but Olivier,
I'd stop and help him change a flat tire. I don't know him. I'm not happy with him as my football coach.
Right. Gotcha. All right.
Well, appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate you, Teddy. I hate the way it worked out. Appreciate the phone call. My man. Been waiting and waiting and waiting for Saints season tickets and waiting. Never could get them. They weren't available. Year 3 of Dennis Allen. Plenty of tickets available. Teddy got a text from the Saints. Hey, we got seats. Louvier got it. NWR Mike on the Country Pleasing text line just text me. It says, I received the same text. You never know. Maybe they'll surprise you. Home opponents this year for the Saints. Atlanta, Carolina, obviously. Cleveland, Denver, and their new unis. The Raiders. The Rams and their popsicle unis. The Eagles. The Bucks, obviously. And Washington. It is. I mean, you're hosting your division teams, obviously, Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa. Outside of that, it's the Browns, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Rams, the Eagles, and the Commanders. What a terrible. No wonder they have people. I'm not paying money for that. I'm just not paying money for that slate of home games. All right, over to the phone line, Rooster on line 2. What's up, Rooster?
Well, I just called to gloat. That's all. Just called to gloat. We won the game. Joe Powell hits 3 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time somebody hit 3 home runs?
I think Ross Highfield did it last year, one time.
Against who?
I don't know. Well, who cares?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could hit 3 home runs in an SEC game? Come on.
Well, okay. I don't think it was in an SEC game, though.
No. Had been playing muscle shows, it would never happen.
That's right. That's about right.
But anyway, it was a great game, and he hit those 3 homers, and Dome get the pitch and didn't give up a hit, so I feel vindicated, you know. But the RPI is a joke. Come on, I heard that. It's a joke. Missouri, their record is better than Auburn. They don't go by. It's political. No question.
Well, not really. Well, not really. Not really, though, because it's factoring in away games being harder than home games and games versus good teams being harder than games versus bad teams. So it's factoring all that in, you know.
Right. But they're better than the Hunter. I mean, and flip a coin. Who's better, Auburn or Missouri? Flip a coin. When they played each other, Auburn won. But I bet you the next time they played, they wouldn't. They're both equally bad. There's not that much separation between Missouri and Auburn.
That's really true.
But I'm glad we got them on the schedule, because that means 2-1 at least, the worst. So you got a pretty good scenario. And listen, to leave Mississippi State out of the regional playoff is stupid. You got the best baseball facility in America. Why would you leave a team that close off? You bump somebody else. You don't bump the Bulldogs.
Make State a host.
No brainer.
It's political, but we'll take that kind of politics. I agree with you.
I don't think Ole Miss is going to make it, though. I mean, Ole Miss is right on the border. Southern's going to be in the playoffs. There's going to be somebody.
Hi, Alicia from C.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes bran, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing, it's a fun thing, it's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing, it's a wing wing. A brand new transgrand fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE.
About it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the Zone 105.9.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. Chuck on YouTube, he commented, he said, hosting could be big for state. This year, the Bulldogs are 24-8 at home and just 7-9 on the road. Of course, they are 3-1 at neutral sites. And yeah, and the neutral site thing could be big too, Chuck, because conceivably we're trying to do math on this. And even if state were to win the series against Missouri because of Missouri's RPI, it could still knock state back, where instead of being 17-18 in the RPI, now you're 19-20 going into Hoover next week, where neutral site games, conference tournament against good teams with good RPIs, the RPI will reward you if you go to Hoover and really win, make a run. That could be the difference. Making a run in Hoover could be the difference in state being a 2 seed somewhere versus hosting. It really could. Now, I don't know that. I don't know if there's a difference in the way that the committee would view making an RPI push at a conference tournament versus doing it across a regular season. Those are all things I don't know. But I also know this, is that Rooster called and said that state ought to get the benefit of the doubt and they ought to just bump somebody out of there because they have a really nice stadium. With more on that, hey, B.
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
What do you think about that logic?
It's been a bit since Rooster has said something that has sent me into a fit of rage because he's said a few of them. He's been calling with crackpot, ridiculous statements since Chris Brooks was here. The first one that comes to mind was Mississippi State and Ole Miss should both give up a football home game every season to come play at Jackson. But anyway, what he just said, though, reminds me of, okay, so let's go back. Obviously, Mississippi State, when they won the thing, 2021. Mm-hmm. This takes me back to 2022. That was the first disastrous year for Mississippi State. And it was late in the season. I want to say it was like April. And Rooster called Jake's show, and State won like 6 SEC games that year. Yeah, had a losing SEC record, a losing record overall. And I remember Rooster called in because Southern, I believe that was the Hattiesburg regional year. Yeah. Now, at that point, they had won like 5 or 6 games, and Rooster calls in and says, well, they should get an automatic bid to the Hattiesburg regional because they won it last year. That was stupid. Automatic bid. And now you're going to call, here we are, 2 years later, and you call and said, a team, I don't care that it's Mississippi State, but your extreme pathetic homerism is showing with this one. You want to suggest to me that any team should be awarded just given a regional because you got a nice stadium? Rooster, that was dumb as hell. Don't have to earn it. No, got a cool stadium. Let's put them in. What sense does that make? Other than this is your favorite team. It's literally why you're arguing this. It is your favorite team. So if anyone else has a cool stadium, should they make it? Should they be bumped someone else, as he says?
My man. He said, you're literally arguing this because it's your favorite team. You mean we ought to at least try to disguise the fact that sometimes when we're making a homer argument,
Yeah, try to cover it up somehow. I don't know how you do it with a statement like that, but
that's great. That is great. Good old B. Patches on the Country Pleasing text line says, he says, Rooster and Daryl from the Paul Feinbaum show kind of sound a lot alike. Hog Jowl, who is the proud father of a recent graduate of Ole Miss Law School, texted the show, and he said it's a gauntlet just playing in the SEC. There are so many really good teams with stud players. He said take the kid from Florida, kid from Georgia, for instance. They're hitting machines. Apparently, Rooster hasn't been to Fayetteville Stadium. Hog Jowl. We're going to start off a big stadium argument. Who's got the best stadium? Yeah, I think in reality, what State's looking at is they went from, if I'm looking at this right, they went from 15 to 17 last night. And that was with the win. That was a team that was 280. Now, the way it's sort of like Missouri's RPI will bump slightly, win or lose, by playing at State, a high RPI team on the road. So there's this catch-22 weird sort of thing involved in that. But, 3 games, and, if State could manage to win the series, they might kind of hold ground right there or drop back to 18, 19, 20. Now, you lose that series to Missouri at home, that's kind of it, really. But let's say you win the series, you drop back to, I don't know, let's just say it works out like it's 18, 19. You're right on the borderline there. And there are some exceptions, like Don mentions here on Facebook. Alabama is 11th in the RPI. He says, and they're not getting in ahead of us, and that's true. Well, so a few of those things that the committee would consider. Then you do look to the SEC tournament. Those things do count. I don't know if there's some sort of asterisk beside conference tournament games, because those are all neutral site. Naturally, you're going to be stacking up a game, hopefully more than one game. You got to win one to have more than one if you're not a top 4 seed type of deal. But could be some RPI opportunity there where that could be the difference in State hosting or not, is whether or not they make a run in Hoover, depending on what happens this weekend. It's just, it's all got to kind of go together. Daniel in Madison, Texas show. He says, honestly speaking, if it is real close between State and another team, he says State will likely get the host because of the stadium and the amount of fans that will show up. I don't know. Daniel. I just don't know enough about how the committee actually goes about it. All I've done is glance at it over the last 10 years, and man, do they ever more use that RPI as a guide. It's obvious that they're doing that. And then finally, Beer Slayer texts in to add this. He says, Beaver hides his anger well. Doesn't he? You know who else was somebody that hid his anger really well? George Costanza. This is at the beginning of the show, so if you tuned in since the start of the show, you might have missed it. But today, May the 15th, go all the way back to 1997. On this day, May the 15th, 1997, the Seinfeld episode originally aired called The Summer of George.
The Yankees are giving me 3 months full pay for doing nothing.
Well, I did it for 3 years. What's another few months?
I'm really going to do something with these 3 months.
Like what?
I'm going to read a book. From beginning to end. In that order.
I've always wanted to do that.
I'm going to play golf.
You mean golf?
Golf. Frisbee golf, Jerry. Golf with a Frisbee. This is going to be my time. Time to taste the fruits and let the juices drip down my chin. I proclaim this the Summer of George.
The Summer of George. Hey, Beeve, did you catch that? What he said about Frisbee golf? What he called it?
Froth.
And I have to say, okay, I've never played Frisbee golf or disc golf, but wouldn't it be so much cooler if they actually had named it Froth? F-R-O?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
I always liked that.
I mean, really, weigh them out. Put them on a scale. On one side, disc golf. On the other side, froth. It's not even close. Again, another example that the writers over there, on Seinfeld, Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld, and the others, they were brilliant. They were ahead of their time. Beaver, do you remember that episode at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Also, let's see. Jerry met that waitress who was played by Amanda Peet, and both him and George had to, both basically date this girl just to keep up. And there was the dude that was living with this girl, and Jerry couldn't figure out, why is there a dude there? Is he just a dude, or is he her fella?
Yeah, right. And I'm looking here at the show, the episode log. It said, George wallows in idleness. The whole girlfriend thing that you mentioned there. And then it said, meanwhile, Elaine is menaced by an unstable, violent woman who does not swing her arms when she walks. I mean, I don't remember that part of it, but the description.
Cat fight.
Cat fight, yes. I want to have to go back and look it up. It looks like Molly Shannon was in that episode also.
Yeah, she was the one that didn't swing her arms.
She was the one. Okay, got it. I'm going to have to go watch that one. It's on Netflix, by the way. All right. For Beeve, I'm Matt. HQ, who was here earlier, all of us here on the show, appreciate y'all again today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same place in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. See you then.